Right. Hello, everyone. This is Jakin. I'm doing my director's commentary. So, To Die For is a show that I started making in January 2020. And that's when I started developing the pilot. It originally started as a short film and turned into this. So, about this first scene, it's actually the one of the last scenes that we shot. Is we did shoot it earlier, but then we needed to reshoot it for a couple reasons, and so this actually ended up being like the last scene that we shot. And so because of that, I think the actors were able to play off each other better. They knew each other better by that point, so that was good, and I was able to get the shots better. Yeah, but this opening scene, like I really needed to do a couple of different things all at once that I think I probably didn't think about as I was doing them, but looking back, it like really helped set up the show well. So like in the first shot of the show, you see the VFX of the notification pop up. And that was really essential to establish early on because like we use that VFX throughout the show. And so I'm really glad I got that in that very first shot. We also needed to introduce both Dave and Alex, so it was important to do that. And also set the tone of the show. So they're in this like dark, moody setting, hanging out in the car. They're waiting for a hit. The audience doesn't know that yet. I wanted to shoot them from behind, kind of invite the audience in and be like, who are these people? Like, what are they doing? Like, it's not clear at first, but they're talking about dating apps. That's what the show is going to be about. I kind of knew that I wanted to make a show about dating apps for a while. I felt like the dating app experience has not really been accurately portrayed anywhere that I've seen online, at least. And I got it, like, I was able to portray it mostly the way I wanted to in this show. I think it was able to express that pretty well. And kind of combining that with Hitmen. So, yeah, the way I've asked Jasper to play this is like, being a hitman is just your day job. It's a shitty job you do. Like, it's not fun. And it's just something you do for money. And this is my friend Austin there, who's jogging. Fun fact, it was very cold through a lot of the filming. So, like, we were all just wearing jackets and staying inside the car if we could between takes. Yeah, and so this scene, not a reshoot. This is the original. Yeah, if you look in the back seat, the seats are laid down, and that's so that way our sound people could be laying in the back seat of that car. Oh, and this is my car as well. Yeah. And these jokes are inspired by actual dating app experiences. Not quite what I've said to real people, but you know, yeah, dating apps are fun, I guess. Yeah, and that is actually a picture of Allison, our actress, that she sent in, and so I was able to use that. Yeah, all of the VFX in this show, whenever an actor interacts with a phone, I wanted to make sure that they had something like that they could physically do that would allow them to get the correct timing of it. So that way when I go into visual effects later, I'd be able to match up with the timing. So I actually had to prepare the visual effects beforehand, turn it into a video that they would play on their phone. Then they would disable the touchscreen on their phone so that way they could touch their phone during the takes, but then also get like the accurate timing. So that's how we planned that. That's all. Every time someone interacts with the phone and there's visual effects, that's what I did. Yeah, this is some B-roll we got afterwards. Definitely good to get a B-roll day. Yeah, this is like a pretty simple visual effect, but it's probably one of my favorite visual effects in the show. That is a real question I saw on a dating website that I thought was just terrible advice. No one should ever do that. Yeah, this shot, we actually shot that outside of Lady Bird Lake, and we shot it at the same time as the opening shot of episode 4, so you'll see that later. Yeah. Yeah, this shot I wanted to show that like Dave was just like kind of confirming that in his mind he's adequate because he's in good shape. Like that's the one thing he knows he has going for him, and he's trying to like justify that he's wanted. Yeah. This phone call with the dad stuff was actually a later addition to the script. We added it after I started developing the show at TSTV. I think it was good to check in with the dad every episode. Like it's kind of difficult with the show to show like societal pressures of dating, and so I tried to show that through the different opinions that the different people in his life give Dave. So like his dad is like come on, you got to get a date now, like you got to do this. And but also the dad is like very self-absorbed. The way that the dad in the show frames everything is always like, hey, how can you do something so that you can make me proud so that way it looks good on me, versus like my actual dad is very loving and does not do that. I'll talk about more later. This shot was always going to be a match shot in the script. Like Jasper did a great job with acting here. Like he just went for it. Yeah, when I watched this show back for the first time, like after editing like the rough cut, I was like, how were people going to emphasize with Dave? Because like, yeah, he just murders someone in the beginning, shows no remorse for it. Like you've seen what happens to Kate later. Like he just pretty brutally kills her. I was like, how are people going to emphasize with this guy? And I think people still are. I mean, like there are definitely worse like TV protagonists than Dave. I think like that mirror shot and just him failing on this date, like kind of making you empathize with the struggle of him just failing repeatedly. What I wanted to do with these dates is like just show Dave's lack of social skills, but he's trying, and also like other people are trying as well. And like the way I told him to play this is that like, or the way I wanted this written was she's just really interested in him and he has no idea. Like I can't really pick up on that, and he's also giving her nothing to work with. And so I think that's just kind of funny. And him trying to describe his hitman life, like I love this cutaway. I always knew that would work. We actually did this in a parking garage, just long angle lens, put some trash bags on the windows, and then had some people pass lights by, and it's pretty convincing. And AC, our stunt coordinator, taught Rajma how to choke out Omar, and I really like how that turned out. Yeah, with this shot, you'll notice it's different than the earlier shot, and that is because I wanted to show after the flashback hit of them connecting more. I wanted to shoot this on longer angle lenses, so there's more compression, so the background is brought closer to the foreground, and you get a little bit over the shoulder. So yeah, that's why the framing is different. That's why it feels different, and that's why I wanted it intended. Unfortunately, though, the sun went behind a building for these shots versus the earlier shots, so the lighting didn't quite match, but I think I was mostly able to match it. I had to do some masking and color grading, but yeah, I think these shots as a whole turned out really great. Also, like this shot, this is a B-roll we got later. Needed a transition of like sun's going down to sunset to now it's night. Yeah. Yeah. So this is my apartment. We used it a couple different times throughout the show, and hopefully you didn't notice that. Yeah, this texting effect, I always wanted to do the texting like this. When Jasper's texting, like when we're actually doing the takes, he's actually texting, I think it was either me or Kaylee, of like, so that we could get that real-time responses. Something I learned though is that like seeing texting in real time just isn't very entertaining on a TV show, and so I'm trying to think of ways around that. I think we got it pretty quickly and tried to not overstay our welcome on stuff like this. Yeah, I really love that shot. Inspiration for that was a shot from the movie Seven. Oh yeah, so that blood spurt and hole in the wall, that was all visual effects. Like we did like put a physical like bloody wound on Jasper's shoulder, but yeah, the rest was visual effects added in post. Yeah, Allison did a great job with that short little monologue there. Yeah, all the knife throws in the show, I chose a knife for Dave because I knew that a knife throw effect is like pretty simple to do and like very effective. So just do a whip pan, and then like one shot will get the Jasper shot of him throwing it, then like during the whip pan you cut, and then the other half of that shot is when the knife is already attached to the actress. So pretty simple, pretty effective. Yeah, looking back at this scene, like I kind of can't believe that I wrote it. Like in most scripts you'll have what's called a save the cat moment of like you'll have your hero like save a cat from a tree to endear them to the audience, like, oh, this person's a good guy, versus this is kind of like a kick the cat moment. Like he's like brutally killing someone, and like I don't know, I was always kind of afraid to play Dave as too bad of a guy, but he's also like literally a murderer. I think we found a good balance of like he's trying to be a good guy, but also like with his job, like he literally can't be a good guy, and then with women he's trying, but like he does harbor some resentments. Like, I did want to address people who like think they're nice guys, like nice guys in quotes, but are not actually nice guys. Yeah, these two actors were good. They like came in short shoe, killed it. Yeah. Yeah, Reshma actually came up with the full name for Alex. She said, like, just started typing.
Hello? Hey, are you busy?
And I love her delivery of this last line here.
But I'm kind of bleeding.
Amazing. Yeah, so this scene was a reshoot as well. Originally, we just shot this scene and the scene right after it in the same spot, but the transition between those two scenes was really weird because of that. The reshoot turned out so much better. Yeah, like one of the things I really learned on the show was just to plan out my visuals and like especially art direction a lot more. Like with this, it's kind of difficult to do art direction. Like we didn't have a huge budget for that. Melanie did a great job. Like seriously, there's so much stuff that I just never thought of that she would bring in and add to the scenes, and a lot of it you don't really notice unless you're looking for it. So like always shout out Melanie for the amazing job she did. Like more people should notice that. But yeah, like with this scene, like putting it in the kitchen instead just really helped. Give it some movement because before they were just sitting in chairs and like not walking around. So we gave Reshma the like glass of water to pour. That gave her some stuff to do because otherwise like I had a hard time of like turning scenes from just two people sitting and talking into like more choreographed stuff. But that's definitely something I'm gonna work on for future projects and was able to improve it with this reshoot. Yeah, and what I wanted to show with Alex here is she's also telling Dave that like she's encouraging him, but the advice she gives him is that you'll find someone, and so that's also the idea I wanted to get away from of like yeah, like partners and girlfriends are great, but like trying to form your whole identity. Oh yeah, this shot, that's Monica looking in. We're gonna show that shot again in episode 4, but that's what I wanted to show. Yeah, like trying to form your whole identity around like the potential of having a partner in the future. That's what I wanted to criticize, and I think we explore it pretty well. Yeah. So this is a she flew in from LA to do his scenes. He did all of his scenes in one weekend because of that, and which is really crazy because it's like in different episodes and it feels like a progression of character, even though like he shot most stuff within like a day or two of itself. So like this scene and the scene at the beginning of episode 3 were shot back to back, like once it got dark. Crazy. Yeah, and this is also in my friend's apartment, which we hang out in, so it's kind of weird and a little meta to like see actors like pretend to hang out in the apartment that I actually hang out in. Yeah. Yeah, and Ashish is based on a couple people I know, mostly one person, and he knows that. It's pretty hyped to be included. Sorry, not Ashish. John, the character that Ashish plays. Ashish is not like John. He doesn't like those comparisons. Ashish doesn't party like at all, which is really funny that I think he's able to play that really well. Yeah, but in real life he also does unbutton his shirt a lot. Yeah, that's an Ashish thing. I also like that I didn't write John as a stoner, even though my friend in real life is a stoner. But like the other writers just like knew from the way that he talks, I guess, that he was a stoner, and like our props person brought in this fake blunt for him. Great. Yeah, it's kind of funny that we went with red and blue lighting with a lot of this because like this was our lighting, but my friend's apartment, like he literally just lights his apartment with red and blue lighting all the time. Like it looks like this a lot, and we now use that space for ping pong. It's fun. Yeah, something my friends commented on when they watched this was that Ashish just poured some weak shots just then, and looking back I do agree he should have poured some stronger shots, but you know, it's just water. Yeah, I like that moment between John and Dave. Like, that's like a real friendship moment. Yeah, and you'll see Monica right here. That's Kaylee. Yeah. This is some B-roll we got later as well. Like, my friend's liquor cabinet just looks like that most of the time. Like, a lot of that wasn't props, but yeah. Yeah, so with this scene, I wanted to get the pan to like show the full room and have like John walk in looking cool and stuff. The reason we cropped in on Dave just then is because we needed to add an ADR line. And so I literally just punched in on the shot in editing. So it looks slightly different. I think it's not too noticeable, but we didn't get any other coverage of like this small little conversation right here. So that's why we had to do that. Yeah, we did that for time because we did not have a ton of time on the day. Like, we needed to plan our whole like party scene stuff around Ashish coming, and Ashish like was going to come a different weekend, and so I wasn't planning to do that stuff this weekend. And then like with short notice, he was like, I'm gonna come this weekend, and so we had to move this party scene stuff up to that weekend. I had to plan all that stuff. I think I also had like 2 midterms that week as well. Yeah, like we were all doing classes at the same time as this, so that's kind of crazy. Wait, also, that is my Logic shirt that she's wearing.
Hey, what's your favorite? Under pressure or...
Yeah, I do cringe a little bit at including this much Logic in there. Logic still is one of my favorite artists, but like, I don't know. Do people need to be talking about Logic this much? Because like, in real life, this is a like short conversation, but within the context of a show, like 1 minute of screen time is a lot. So to dedicate this much screen time to talking about Logic, I don't know. I think it worked out, but like I also had to explain all of this Logic stuff to the actors, so I don't know. It's just slightly embarrassing to explain all that stuff. Yeah, this like hand raise, like didn't know what to do move. I've done that in real life. Yeah, just all the awkward parts of me. Just gotta make Dave do all that. Yeah, and they really had to make out for that. Yeah. Yeah, Kaylee always cringes at that shot because Ashish is one of her close friends. There's Kaylee in the background. Yeah, it's like a jump scare for Kaylee. It's hilarious. Yeah, and with this shot here, we call this the love theme as part of the score. Of like whenever there's like slow motion, like I wanted to show that that's someone falling like in love with someone, like in quotes, but it's really like infatuation, because I feel like in the real world we conflate a lot of times infatuation with love, and like infatuation can lead to love, but it isn't like quite love. Like love is something that you work on and build, and it's a relationship. It's not just like someone that you meet at a party and like instantly, like if you know someone for an hour, you're not in love with them. Yeah, AC actually taught Jasper that gun stealing move over the phone. I think it worked out pretty well. Yeah. And we did get an insert shot of like the shoe with blood spurting out, and that was a practical effect we did, and unfortunately we had to cut it because it looked awkward cutting it in there. But Mary and Melanie did a great job with that. I wish we could have included that.
Let's do a chat over here.
Oh, wait, I can help you.
Yeah, this actor is Ryder. He is one of our... He was Emma's brother. She was a writer and costume designer, and he was able to fill in for a weekend because we had to move the shoots, and so our original frat bro dropped out. But yeah, he came in, did a good job. Yeah, and this is also one of my friend's rooms, so that's cool as well. Oh yeah. So the thing is, when they go through that door in the scene before this, that door actually leads to a restroom, and so we just cut when it goes through the door, so that way it seems like they're going into this bedroom. So my friends who actually live here, or at least like are familiar with the layout of this apartment, like that really throws them whenever they go into like this room and it's not the bathroom. But and I think we hide it pretty well, although it did kind of limit some of the shots we could get. Yeah, see, like that's how we transition it.
Yo, shit is dead. You want to head to Alpha?
Yeah, in that shot, I did have to bounce, which means like reversing the footage because I needed to extend it slightly. So hopefully you didn't notice that. Yeah, all of this stuff turned out great. We were able to bring in some guys who had their own Steadicam, which I did not know we were going to have when I was planning these shots. But bringing that in really helped. Like we just had fog machine going. We would just do like, I wanted them to turn our lighting team to turn the lights on during these shots. Oh yeah, these are my friends Chris and Kristen who jumped in the background here. Yeah, but this whole sequence turned out really great. Yeah, so the reason that like there's fog or like smoke coming out of Ashisha's mouth here is just because it was really cold. Like that's just like fog from your breath. He's not smoking. Yeah, it was really cold at a lot of these shoots. Jasper and Ashish actually wanted to jump into the pool for this sequence. Like it was their idea. And then I was like, are you sure you guys want to do that? Like it's really cold. And yeah, they later decided against it. Like they did not jump into the pool. This was all done in one take. I did cut like when we go around that corner, and also I'm in the background around that corner shot. That's my one like cameo, but like even I know where it is and I still can't see myself. Like it's super brief. Yeah, I really like how this shot turned out. Like it wasn't originally planned that we would like tilt the camera, but that's just something we came up with like right as we were doing the shot, and it worked out really well. Yep, and so this is Alex's apartment, which is also my apartment, which is also Kate's apartment, which the upstairs bedroom part is also Jasper's apartment, Dave's apartment. Yeah, but Melanie was able to really use some production design to make it different. It's great. Yeah, and the phone wasn't showing the colors on his face enough, so I did like make some color changes in post. So that's how we did that. Yeah, first episode. Yeah, the first episode I developed for like a year and a half before bringing it to TSTV, and then brought on more people to help me develop the series. And a lot of it's the same. I say a significant amount changed, but yeah, it's really cool seeing that come to fruition. Yeah, so this scene was inspired by my first ever online date on Tinder. Like we had talked for a couple of days, and then she stood me up, like just did not like agreed to meet at a place at a specific time, and then once I got there, like just stopped answering my messages. So that was really disheartening. So I wanted to play that with like Jasper being sad, and then he gets attacked. So in the script it's supposed to be that he yells, and I thought that would be funny, but like we were just way too focused on the choreography, and especially the blood part of the scene, because I think we accomplished that with the actor held some blood in his mouth, and like there was like a blood packet on his shoulder, and that just turned out really great. Like great job from Melanie and Mary there, and awesome fight choreography from the actors and AC. Yeah, and this is a scene that I really wanted to show like the experience of what it's like online dating, because like you swipe through so many faces and like you're just absorbed in the world. Like the way I did visual effects in the show is I wanted to show like how using your phone is kind of integrated into your real world. It's like you're in like this other thing, but you're also in the real world at the same time. So that's why I wanted to like take the visual effects outside of the actual phone. Yeah, and I wanted to show like what it's like texting these people, of like it's just a name and a face, and like maybe you'll do some flirting, but like you have no idea if this relationship is gonna last. Like people will ghost you for whatever reason. Like I'm not saying someone's always in the wrong for ghosting you. Like sometimes life just happens, but like because you don't know when someone's gonna ghost you, like it kind of makes you like approach every relationship kind of like at an arm's length, and so you don't really allow yourself to get attached, and they don't allow themselves to get attached, and like everyone's just struggling. Like I always wanted to portray like the female side of these relationships that Dave is attempting to do, with like Dave's giving them nothing, they're also kind of bad at this, but like everyone's trying. Like nobody wants to be miserable, right? Like, but the way that dating apps are, like that's just kind of how it ends up, and it's really our only option, just because it's so hard to meet people. Like we don't have social spaces as much anymore. I think that kind of worked out with the way the show is shot, of like most of the locations are just like people's apartments. Yeah, so this is my apartment as well. Yeah, I wanted to do more of a plot line of like Alex struggling with money, but it just didn't really make sense with like Alex and Dave making the same amount of money because they go on missions together. Yeah.
Probably make this work.
Yeah, we had to do this a couple of times.
No, that's all me.
Yeah, milkshake spilled everywhere.
Here, let me pay for
No,
it.
Actress did a really great job with this scene.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine. You can just buy me one another time.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That works. Yeah.
Dave?
Hey, sorry, I gotta go.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'll just. Oh,
Yeah, this is really originally supposed to be at a coffee shop, but all of our coffee shop locations fell through, so that kind of sucked. Yeah, and this is actually the same shot from earlier that you saw, which it was always supposed to be this shot. We actually just reused it for the earlier scene because we wanted the text on either side of his face. Yeah, and that transition there, that's something I actually planned or like came up with in 2020. And I wanted to include it as the transition from like
Are you looking for a real job sometime?
the second scene of the first episode,
full time.
from when he matches with Kate. I wanted the swipe to just go straight to the date, but then I figured out that
Netflix.
like I wanted to add like the stuff with just Dave's life and then the call with Dave's dad, so that's why that stuff was added later.
Like of any of it.
Yeah, and the rules I came up with for this scene is I wanted it to make like I wanted to make it seem like he was going on the same date several times. So the rule was for each date it would get a different angle. So this date's at a 45-degree angle. The first date was straight on, and the third date is from a side view. So it's all the same location, but each date would be a different angle, and you would stick to that. And then we also got some of our crew to be background. So that's Gabby in the background being like a sad wine person. And you got Caleb in the other background. He was like having a whole fake conversation. He was killing it. Yeah, there's Melanie on the right there.
I see you soon.
I'm gonna be honest, Dave. I don't think I will. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, sounds great.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know you were nervous, but it's okay. It's a first date.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So she actually agrees to the date in the script, and like she texts him later in the script as well. And what I wanted to show with that is like, yeah, like Dave is gonna ghost some people too. Like he's not immune to the problems that other people like do to him.
Man, how the date's going?
Not good.
Shake it off, son. I know you're trying. But
Yeah, and these calls with the dad are not
badger, you're
encouraging.
still in the first pregnancy scare, you know?
Right. I'm getting better. Though.
Yeah, I originally did all of the calls in a single shot. Like each time there would be a call, it would just be one shot and it would be a slow zoom. I changed that for the first episode. We added a reshoot of, we added the shot through the mirror, which I think helped. I just get a little bit more close up of stuff. I do like this slow zoom.
Anyways, it was good talking to you, son. Call me when you have good news.
I also like the slow zoom in episode 3.
I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, and you maybe couldn't tell for that, but for the visual effect, I had the phone like pass through the visual effect briefly to kind of show where it is in 3D space. I also need to figure out a way of how is Monica going to contact him, because she doesn't have his number. But as you find out later, Monica is a stalker, so her ability to find him on social media was always what I wanted to do. Some writers argued with me about that, of like they wanted her to have his number, but like it's way easier to find someone online and DM them versus find their number. Like I would be way more creeped out if someone found my number.
Right, it's so
Yeah.
bad, and it's all just hookups anyway.
Yeah, and this is the same restaurant as before with the 3 dates. So the 3 dates were outside, and then once it got to nighttime, we went inside. And it was really helpful that they had this like closed off room because we did not have any other extras. I think sound design really helped with making the space feel like there are way more people in it.
Yes.
But
I listen to music. Who doesn't like music?
yeah, we're running late on time for this, and
What
so
artist do you like?
like we could only get like 1 or 2 takes of each of these angles, and the actors did a really good job with that. And Melanie brought some great food as well. Like I really like how the food looks in this.
Have you heard of Logic the rapper?
Yep, and there's Logic
No
again.
way. Yeah, I love Logic.
And as you'll find
I
out
always have to
later,
explain to people that Logic
she
is
knows about
famous.
Logic
You know he's
because
famous.
like she listened in on that conversation in the first episode.
It's funny. Logic always talks about do what you love.
I'm not really sure that I found it yet.
Yeah,
Hey, that's okay. I mean,
the way we approach like what Monica knows about Dave is that basically she's been stalking him for a while, and like
Logic does.
most of the stuff that you see in the show is something that Monica saw or at least found out about.
No one's on their deathbed saying they wish they spent more time.
Yeah, and I also wanted Monica to have some good points. Like,
Right. Yeah.
she just takes it a little bit too extreme of like,
I feel like I'm crazy for wanting an actual connection with someone.
Yeah.
Like,
she wants the same thing that Dave does. Like, that was the whole design of their
That
relationship.
makes total sense.
Is like Monica is just a dark reflection of Dave. Like, she's willing to like use her hitman abilities to get what she wants in the dating world, versus Dave is not. And yeah, like I really enjoyed writing Monica because with villains you can kind of say
I forgot I have this thing.
what's true.
Are you sure
Like-
you can't stay just a little longer?
Yeah, no.
Like, you can say truths that you know have some flaws to them, and it's okay because it's the villain, and you can like criticize yourself through that.
Pay for it. And then
Yeah,
see you
I think
later
just
tonight?
Thanks. No.
I was able to express some ideas in this show that I couldn't have just expressed if I
Uh,
like just wrote, I don't know, like a diary entry about them. And like I think it came together really well. Yeah, this scene, I always wanted to get just this shot to kind of show that Dave was ignoring Alex and like just kind of focus on himself now. We did get a second angle, but didn't end up using it. Yeah, this scene, there was a slow pan to kind of establish the location, but like I think we do it enough with these other shots. Yeah. For that pan between the two, like we used a really long lens. So we actually did a cut on the motion blur, like as we whipped from one shot to the other. So one shot was on Dave going up to Alex. The other shot actually started on Alex and then whipped down to Dave, and we reversed that shot. So I think it stitched pretty well together. Yeah, this scene we actually rewrote a bit on the day. Kaylee and the actors weren't totally happy with it. Like there just wasn't,
Look, you know what?
like it was gonna be shorter. It's just gonna be like them briefly talking about the date, and then instead added some conflict to it. Yeah, and here's Jordan. He's gonna ignore her for Monica.
Hey, I just got a text from her. She says she had fun, winky face.
That's great. Are you gonna text her back?
Yeah, and the reason Alex
Yeah, I
uses
think
a
so.
pistol in the
don't know
scene
what to
is
do.
because
But I'll think about
like
it.
our stunt coordinator, who is also a
She
military
actually
vet,
wants
advised
to
us against using
And you're
like a
not
sniper
feeling
rifle in the
right?
situation, and it was harder
Well,
to
I don't know if I'm ready.
find a prop that was like the middle of that, because we did want to add at least a little bit of realism of like if Alex had a sniper standing where she's standing, someone would see her. Like it's a little bit
Monica's here.
What?
less conspicuous if she's holding a pistol, able to hide that better. And like in episode 3, she doesn't use a sniper either. Like we switched that to a camera.
Monica,
Yeah, this
hey.
sequence here was also just very cold. Um,
But I saw you, and I just wanted to say.
yeah, between takes, the actors would go into the cars. It was just freezing. And we actually shot this over 2 days. So one day we were on the ground with Dave and Monica, and then the other day we were up in the parking garage with Alex. Plus we got the GoPro shots that are attached to the car. So the up in the parking garage shots, we would get like Alex's POV looking down on them, and we would also get the shots of Alex. Yeah, this scene was just pretty difficult to put together, and I think it turned out pretty well. It was also like really hard to edit as well.
Fuck, Dave, come get me.
Like it took me a while to get the edit where I wanted. Yeah, hopefully you didn't notice, but Dave's shirt changes between shots. Like he's not wearing the checkered flannel anymore. It's because like there was a mix up and he wasn't wearing the right shirt. And so I had to give Jasper literally the shirt that I was wearing at the time, so that's my shirt. We switched shirts. Yeah, so hopefully you didn't notice that. We also cut a scene right before this of it was going to be Dave and Monica picking up Alex, and I really liked that scene in the script and liked it when we rehearsed it, but the way we shot it was all in one take, but that turned out really badly because like you could see the shadow from the cameraman like very clearly, and also because there's one take
over the job.
like I wasn't able to like
I know.
control the timing better
I'm
with
sorry.
cuts. So yeah, just ended up cutting that scene. I think it worked out better because that was more of a comedic scene, and this scene
Kill people. That's what
um,
we do. That is
adds
what
more
the
gravity
squad
to it. So I
does.
liked
And
going to
this
that
was gonna
instead.
be a huge payday.
It's probably
I know that
one of my
doesn't mean
favorite
much to you, but
Rishma
it means
acting
a
moments
lot
of the
to
show.
me. This hit meant a lot to me. And now we have to work double the jobs next week. So Monica's gonna have to wait. I'm sorry.
There's not a way I could skip like one hit to go see her. Okay, I'm sorry. No, you're right. I do want to
Yeah,
help.
I also really like the
Fine,
theme
because
that
I can't
John, our
afford
composer,
myself.
developed for like the Alex and Dave theme, and then I like how it progresses throughout.
Okay, I'll
My favorite theme probably though is
find another
Alex's
time with you,
theme,
Monica.
which has the same like piano melody for all of it, but like different stuff building underneath it,
I'll see you next week.
and it's really cool how that theme develops as well. Yeah, and I think Emma wrote this like last little bit with Alex that I really liked, of just her like alone struggling and looking for a job, because we didn't initially have this moment. Because the way we initially wrote episode 2 was there's going to be way more in it. Of episode 2 was going to end with Dave getting kidnapped by Monica, which happens like in the middle of episode 3. But then we figured out that that would make episode 2 way too long and episode 3 way too short. So instead we decided to end it here, and so we need like more of a definitive ending. So that's why we added that Alex stuff, and then the shot with Monica looking. And then we need more of an episode 3 opening, so that's why we did the like kind of fake out with the gunshots and then turns into video games.
I leave early, and I went in for a hug, but she pulled me in and kissed me.
Yeah, and I like how the actors play the scene. It feels like they're really like in their zone, I guess. But it is kind of crazy because like this is their only the second scene
Yeah, dude, I'm
that Ashish has done with Jasper, and the first scene Ashish has done with Reshma.
I don't know. How do you know when to move forward? Like, how fast would be too fast?
I don't know, bro. You just relax, okay? And do what you feel is right in the moment. Now, obviously, keep your pants on in public, but keep up the flirtiness, and you're it. I mean, she's into you anyways.
Yeah. So John is going to talk about hypergamy here. Hypergamy is this, like, the core of it is that like women only want to date rich guys, like for their value. But like that idea is just taken to such an extreme. Like if you look up hypergamy, you'll find like the most misogynistic websites ever. And I had someone tell me about hypergamy once, and like they agreed with it, and I just thought it was really stupid, and I should have John talking about that.
Alex.
Exactly. So find.
Yeah, because there's a whole rabbit hole of like pickup artists and like men's rights stuff, and like this, all of this internet stuff I could have gotten into, and like I did want to get into, but I think a lot of it's pretty niche, and there's also only so much I could explore in the series. I think I do explore a lot of ideas, and
I have dated guys. And I would date another one if I could find a good one.
I wasn't able to explore everything.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, like girls only want to date rich guys.
Yeah, I did also want to confirm that Alex was bi in this scene. Like,
Right, whatever.
I always kind of thought that I should make Alex bi, just like it just felt like she should be.
Door unlocked.
I did consider having Alex like dating a girl throughout the show, but I felt like that would add too many things. Like it would add the betrayal of like
Like last time.
Dave kissing Alex when she has a girlfriend. Like that would make that worse. But I don't know, like if you add a girlfriend, like that's a whole nother character you have to deal with, and like already like this is kind of a lot of characters for me to deal with. Like writing a lot of characters was something that I struggled with in the show, was something I want to get better at. But also I think it really helped that we only had a couple of characters for our low budget, because that way cast fewer actors, like less scheduling difficulties, all that stuff. But yeah, so this is Matt. He was a boom operator for a lot of our stuff, but he's also an actor, and so we got him to be in this. Like he was good. He did have like a line that we cut because it just made the scene a little bit goofy, but I think we're able to strike the balance of like comedy and seriousness in this pretty well. Of like they're literally standing over his dead body right now, but then this is supposed to be a serious moment. Like I like that we go between serious and kind of funny. Some of my favorite shows do that. Yeah, there's a name for it. This one of my favorite. This film reviewer that I like came up with a name for it of shows like Barry that do this thing of like yes they're comedies, yes they're dramas, like but they're like both at the same time. Yeah, and so that's what I wanted to kind of strike with this. But I found that like the more I got into the material and like topics I wanted to cover in this show, of like the more serious I wanted to make it. Although like I think there still is a good amount of comedy throughout. Yeah. So a lot of these slow zoom, like digital zoom shots, I wanted to do with a slider. So I bought a slider, but that slider turned out to be very difficult to use and like just did not work very well, especially with like our camera rig that we had, because we had like a V-mount battery, a monitor, like all this stuff ended up being pretty heavy. Like it worked fine with my little camera without any attachments. But once we did the actual cinema camera that we were using with all those attachments, didn't work out very well. But digital zoom worked pretty well because we shot this in 6K. Final version is in 4K, which that just allowed us to crop a little bit. Yeah, I think these zooms worked out well. Although I did find out that if you crop, you do lose sharpness a little bit. Oh, yeah. So the drink shot we did shoot like in a slightly different place on the bar, and we did kind of want to show that like the roofie wasn't being dropped in the drink like right in front of Dave. So with sound design, I had my sound designer go in and add a like sound of the drink being moved and then placed back. So that's why Dave didn't notice that. Yeah, all of this bar scene we shot in like 2 hours, which if you don't know anything about film, that is crazy fast. Because the only time we could get this bar was on a Monday morning. And so like most people had class or just other stuff they needed to do during that time, but luckily I got like a very small crew together and these couple of actors who were able to make it. And then we also shot Alex's one shot that's in this bar at the same time as that. Yeah, that was a stressful shoot. I also did sound while directing, and I'd accidentally given Kaylee the sound SD card, so I needed to run and go buy a sound SD card because like I was one of the few people with a car and other people were like setting up. So yeah, I went and did that. And all of this blur stuff, that was all added in post. And I really like the sound design that Avery did. Oh yeah, and hopefully you could notice, but you could see the boom in the mirror. Don't look at that. Yeah, so this is my bedroom as well. Melanie, again, great job with redecorating it to seem different.
Hey.
Yeah, I also like the overall aesthetic that Monica just has. Like Melanie and Emma did a great job of like art direction with production design and costumes.
Anyways, you were roofied last night.
Oh my god. Did anything happen?
No, I brought you back before anything could, but
Yeah, and the way that we shot this, we had this big light
finally decided
that was on the wall, which like you definitely
this time with a slightly
can't tell. Like it's not in the wide shots, but it is in these close-ups.
Yes, I know about it. I found out who made the contract, and then I sent Alex after them. So you can just stay here with me until she gets it all sorted out.
Also, I don't know that this was intentional, but I really like how Monica is framed like with no headroom, like she's on the right side of the frame. I think that really helps.
Where are my clothes?
Yeah, we originally weren't going to have Jasper be shirtless in the scene. Like we always had the line of like, where are my clothes? But it's supposed to be that he was missing pants. But then like you can't really see that. And so I think it helped for him to be shirtless. Thank you, Jasper.
It's not your fault. I mean, just eat breakfast.
Yeah, because what I wanted to do, so
Relax and cover
Monica is the criticism of like two main tropes that like protagonists usually do in like action and romance movies. Yeah, so Pop Culture Detective on YouTube has some great videos about this. So this one was called Abduction as Romance. Like a lot of times in action movies, you'll have like the hero abduct someone and then slowly but surely the person they abduct will fall in love with them. And so I wanted to criticize that and like swap the gender roles, because usually it's a man abducts a woman, and so with this instead it's a woman abducts a man. And like Yeah, the justification is like
Okay,
Monica took his clothes off without his permission, and she says that it's because of the roofie, but it's not because of the roofie. It's just because that's what she wanted to do. Yeah, and this was done with all one Steadicam shot. I really like how that turned out. Glad we got the Steadicam for that. Yeah, and what we wanted to show with like Alex's like arc in this episode is like she couldn't do the job initially without Dave, and she learns to become independent from Dave. That's why she's using a knife instead of a gun in these scenes.
It's just like a terrible hangover.
Yeah, also whenever there's a TV in this show, what they're watching is always a clip from my previous show, Jenny Cinema. So they were listening to the theme song just now. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out like what like TV show could they watch? Like what do I have the rights to? And I'm like, oh yeah, I already made a TV show that I have rights to, Jenny Cinema. Also really love this shot. Like it feels very like Gone Girl-y. Gone Girl was a big inspiration for Monica as well.
You know, just the two of us. Couldn't that be like
Yeah, just that opening and closing shot of Gone Girl.
Where, like bowling?
no?
Yeah, also love that line, bowling, amazing. Yeah, and I did go to Europe after finishing shooting To Die For, so that's kind of why I threw that line in there.
Yeah.
Europe was fun.
I mean, do you really want me to get out of bed to get your phone right now?
Yeah, so that's my camera, and then we rented a lens. The way that we got these shots of the POV of the camera is we had an external recorder that would record the camera feed, and so that's how we did that. So that made those shots like kind of expensive, but I think it looks really cool. Yeah, this is also another thing I added in post of the last location thing, is we need a justification of like why is Alex gonna seek out Dave? Like what is gonna make her go search for him? And we figured out that it was gonna be that like later she sees that his location hasn't updated in like a day, and so that's when she gets really concerned. Yeah, we wanted this to be a match shot. It's not quite a match shot, so we did punch in a little bit. Yeah, we left Shrey with the camera over a dinner break, and we went and brought him dinner, and somehow like he wasn't able to get the shot to exactly match, but I think it still works pretty well. I also like that I think John, the composer, was able to get a piano note to hit exactly when that cut happens, so really like that touch.
Thanks again for everything.
Also for the Alex stuff, we used a couple different buildings, so
It's fine. I mean,
the shots of her in the parking garage, that's one shot. When she's looking out
Do you have any
at a building,
Alex?
you actually can't see that building from where she is. The POV of the camera, we shot that from a different location. But then the building she's looking at from the camera, that is the building that she walks into
Yeah, me too.
in the previous shot. But then when we show her later, that's another building. So yeah. Yeah, and this was another person's apartment, so I'm glad that we got
it's
that to be
still
different.
fine. You can grab it later.
Yeah.
It should
So
be
really like
working by now, and if
just the
not,
way that this is lit and the production design and stuff. I think
I want you to stay
like
here.
we all
Talk to me, you know, just
like improved as this went along.
it's just I really want.
And this was the some of the last stuff we shot. Like this is our second to last week of filming.
Let me get the phone for you.
Oh really? I didn't see it in there.
Hey, fine. It fell out when you got roofied.
Okay, then how'd you call Alex?
Yeah, and I like how we went from tripod shots to then handheld. And we do break the 180-degree rule here on accident. The layout of this apartment was kind of weird, which kind of forced us to do that sometimes, but I think it still worked out really well. Yeah, so this whole scene I didn't write. I think Tanner wrote this stuff. Most of the stuff in the show, like I wrote the final version of, and then like Kaylee helped me revise. But yeah, this Tanner stuff like was just really great from the first draft. Fit like pretty seamlessly into the rest of the show. I loved it. Yeah.
Look, if you're a janitor, please don't come in. I'm slaving away over here.
Yeah, I liked Michael in this role. He was pretty cool. Yeah, the stab practical effect. I forget which makeup artist did that. I think it was Miyu, but yeah, great practical effect.
You can't take it out.
Yeah, we also cut a line there so we can get to this guy quicker. Yeah, shout out Daniel. I just love. He has like 2 lines and he performs them so well. He just kills it. Like, great acting. Yeah, so this is the TSTV station manager's office. That's how we were able to get access to this office.
God, why me? I never did anything wrong to this company, and if I did, I was always sure to cover it up. What are you checking?
My friend's being weird because he tried to kiss me, and my dad keeps taking money out of my account, and
Yeah, this is like one of the only parts we had to change about the scene was like just tying it into the rest of Alex's arc.
So, about not doing this job anymore.
Oh no, I still have to kill you, dude.
You're clearly going through a lot right now, and you don't want to do anything irrational. I'll give you anything. Whatever they're paying you, I'll double it.
I mean, okay, yeah, sounds fun. Come here.
Yeah, we did originally have Alex say like a line at the end of that, but something I wanted to avoid with this show was like people saying lines after they kill people. I think that's kind of cheesy. Yeah, so I cut most of that stuff if we had it.
I can't let you leave.
Yeah, so this shot, I have heard people like laugh at the final line she says here, but I think it's really important. Like one of the things I wanted to show was like
I'm not sure how I feel.
there are lots of people in this world who are not taught about like what consent is, or like even if they have some understanding of it, they don't understand that like coerced consent is not consent. Like just because you get someone to say yes, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want.
Okay, and I want this
And
to be
so
consensual.
by having Monica with a
That's why
gun
you can't leave.
saying this line, that like I think it just really clearly illustrates that coerced consent is not consent. Yeah, kind of to a comedic effect. Yeah, I like this chapter title, Cross My Heart and Hope to Die. That's what it's supposed to implicate. Yeah, that's a book that Kaylee actually read. I think it fit Monica really perfectly. Yeah, so this is yeah, same jogging shot as before. But I graded that completely differently. It was actually a cloudy day, which I thought would be bad, but I think it actually worked out really well. I did have to saturate the colors more, but like it actually, I think everything looks really great. Yeah. Like this was something I wanted to include of like the look in film. Like, I mean, voyeurism is something that's kind of essential to a lot of film theory of like people looking at each other. And so by having Monica be the stalker and like the one looking at and objectifying Dave, like trying to subvert that action movie stuff, like something I knew I did not want to include in the show was any like objectifying shots that you'll typically see of women, especially of Alex, because like bi women are considered like more sexual a lot of the time, and so I definitely didn't want to show that. Yeah, so here's the shot from earlier. Yeah, a lot of these shots would just be like, hey Mia, we need you to show up for like 2 hours on this one shoot day, and so then she would come, and then we would say bye, and she would just get all this footage, and it came together really well. Yeah, I always knew I wanted to use this song as well. Indie Love Film is something that I had listened to while I was writing the pilot. Shout out Audrey, that's the artist who made this song. And we just DM'd her on Instagram and asked her for permission for the song, and she said yes. So that was really great. I really like how it turned out.
Now I know that may seem a little crazy, but not crazy.
Yeah, also in the script, I think we're going to cut to Alex's stuff after the title card.
I'm not crazy.
But I decided against it. Like, I think it worked
Dave, I'm not
much better to just keep going with the Monica Dave stuff. Also, her voiceover from the montage was supposed to be framed as like,
right?
That's her talking to Dave.
Being alone all the time,
And so this is just a continuation of that conversation.
I tell myself I'm enough, but I'm just so lonely.
Yeah, and this was the scene that we had people audition for Monica for, because I knew it was just essential to the Monica character, and Mia does such a great job with it.
Like, I swear to God, our generation is afraid of each other. We're all lonely.
Yeah, like basically all of the Monica Dave like interrogation, I guess, scenes. I wrote that as one scene in like one sitting. Because we had written drafts of it earlier, but the big chunk of what ended up being mostly in the final version, I wrote that all in one sitting. It was just like, once I got going, I was able to just get all of this out, and then we split it up into different scenes by intercutting it with Alex stuff. And we did like revise it a little bit, but like, I think it was just really essential to have Monica like confess all of this stuff and say the stuff that Dave's probably been thinking too, and I think that really fits the theme of the show. A lot of the rewriting that I did was because like, no offense to the other writers, but like I think it's mostly because like we hadn't discussed this as much as we should have, but like a lot of the writing just didn't have like thematic material throughout it. And so I was able to write that back into it, of especially these Monica conversations of earlier on their date and in the scene of like, I wanted to drive home certain themes, and I think we accomplished that.
Thank you. And my clothes?
No, your clothes are nice too. I really like your dress.
Wow, I am loving this honesty already, but I need a little bit more.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, Dave, it's not that hard. Just one flaw. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, sometimes I think I wrote some of these characters to be like too extreme, and then I'll hear about like examples of real life people who are even crazier, and then I think I'm fine.
Okay, I mean, I kind of was the one who reviewed you in the first.
Yeah, I also really like just the subtle score that John adds like below this. It just really helps a lot. Like, not that the actors aren't doing a great job, it just needs that, like, without the silence. Like, if it's just silence, it's kind of weird.
The handcuffs, those aren't coming off. Like, I still don't know if I can trust you.
But I can trust you.
Look, Dave, I can't let you leave. Okay, you have a dangerous job. I called off the hit, but someone else could kill you. Come on, say something.
Yeah, I like that line of someone else could kill you. Yeah, I also like how Jasper flinches there.
Your call is valid.
Okay, you know what? Fuck you, Dave. Fuck you. Fuck this. I swear to God, you can't do anything without
Yes, I did have to motion track that text a little bit, and it was annoying because so much of this is out of focus that I wasn't able to get a tracking point. So I had to manually do some of that. I think it worked out in the end. Yeah, I had them improvise some dialogue for this. I didn't have any lines written, but Jillian, the bartender, was able to do some stuff. Yeah, I also like how this visual effect turned out. Yeah, we needed a way of Reshma or Alex being able to find Monica's location, like, realistically, but also quickly. So finding someone's IP address online, like, people get doxxed online, like, that's a real thing. And so I wanted to show that, but kind of like not show people how to actually do it, and also like do it quickly. Yeah. And that was probably my favorite part of John's score right there, of like the build for Alex's stuff. Like, he does a lot of great stuff. I just especially love that part for some reason.
That frat boy hitman was me. But your reaction.
And this is probably my favorite scene in the whole show, of like, I love Monica's monologue. I love their back and forth and the climax that it builds to. For a lot of this, Dave is pretty emotionally stunted, and I think it, like, this scene is Dave finally like admitting some stuff, and so that helps.
It's not about them. No. Wanting a relationship isn't a personality trait.
Yeah, a lot of this is just like me criticizing myself. Like, a lot of the way I write and want to express myself artistically is like observations and criticisms I have of the world around me and myself.
Like I had to have a soulmate. You don't think I've been asked about a girl?
And so I wanted to show just like societal pressures that are on Dave, because I don't think anyone asking Dave about a girlfriend, or like me about a girlfriend, ever has like bad intentions. It's just like, as I talked with my dad about this, like my dad wants me to find someone,
Anything
because
about
like
her?
it'll probably help me be happier. If I'm in a happy relationship, of course, like
Okay.
that's a good thing.
Girl just went through something.
And so it's for my benefit. I know it's for my benefit, but also like
She goes to her guy friend for comfort.
the frustration of trying to find someone
Comfort
really sucks as well.
Which turns into a kiss. Which turns into him unzipping his pants.
And suddenly, you're the asshole for rejecting
Yeah.
him.
And I've had some people ask me about like this specific speech of like who wrote that, and
Girls are somehow too
I'm
emotional
pretty
to
happy to say that I wrote that.
because they couldn't exchange their nice guy credits for sex.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how people would take the Monica stuff.
Maybe not exactly.
Like I wasn't sure if I like villainized her too much. Especially after like there were some high profile cases of like people just dogpiling onto women online that happened like between me writing the show and the show coming out. And so like I was thinking of like, would people be able to see past their misogyny
It's not the same.
to see Monica as a character doing bad things versus just like as an evil woman? And I think like some people are going to be able to get it. Like I've gotten some good feedback about Monica, and so I'm happy with that.
I screwed things up.
Yeah. Also, the idea was that them yelling is what Alex heard, and so that's how she knew
And I
which
agree,
door to
I'm
knock
a
on.
terrible friend,
Yeah, and I really like Jasper's performance here.
If I die here,
Okay, you won't die here. When you eventually come around and see things my way, I'll let you out of the house. Okay, I want us to be equals.
Yeah. So the fight scene is actually something we added pretty late in the process of like the script was already written and we were already in the middle of shooting. But our stunt coordinator was like, "Hey,
besides, we don't feel like
I want to add a fight scene." And I was like, I don't know. But he convinced me and Kaylee wanted to do it too. So we added a fight scene and I think it really added a lot. I also added in the scene where Alex and Monica are at the door talking to each other. I like that scene a lot as well.
Not a word.
So yeah, it just helped it so much because otherwise beforehand it was just going to be Alex breaks down the door and shoots Monica in the middle of her going in and like trying to assault Dave.
I'm sorry to bother you. He just he hasn't been answering my calls.
Yeah, I just didn't want the tension to go down because it was supposed to be Alex comes in with the gun, shoots Monica. And so I was like, how do you prevent Alex from doing that? So instead I had it that Monica opens the door, they have their guns on each other, we get more building tension. And then when Alex kicks the door down, because Dave falls, and creates the distraction, that one of them loses their gun immediately. Yeah, so Monica loses their gun right here, grabs the gun, and then they both lose the other gun. So that's how it leads to more fighting, because I didn't want like them to just have guns and not be shooting each other. So I think AC addressed that pretty well. And yeah, we spent a whole day shooting this fight scene. And it's only 30 seconds, but you know, that's filming. But the actors, like there were no stunt doubles, actors learned all of this action. I think they did a great job. We were able to learn it really well. Yeah, and that shot we actually reversed of her being slammed into the wall because we didn't want to actually slam her face into the wall. Yeah, Stray wanted to add this shot. Stray the DP. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he just stole it from the Batman. Yeah, we had some lines for this in the script originally, but we knew like when we wrote the lines, it was like, yeah, if the actors can just play it without lines, it's probably better. And it worked out that way. Yeah, and here's Jenny Cinema again. Shout out Corey.
I know you went through like a whole thing today, but I got a job in a different city.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, so this is Alex's apartment again, which is again my apartment. We actually shot this scene right before this is the scene where in the first episode where Dave comes in drunk and lays down on the couch, so that we could have the same setup for that.
It's like a 9 to 5.
And we also needed to get this done before Ashish went back to LA.
I love working
Yeah, I also needed a creative solution of how is the sheesh gonna come into the door. And so earlier when Alex comes in through the door, beginning of episode 3, it's because the door is unlocked, and so they talk about that. But in this episode, I love the idea that John stole a key from Alex's apartment and just uses it to let himself in sometimes, and so that's how we justified that. Also, the coverage we got of this is we didn't get a close-up shot of Alex, which was intentional because I knew that I wanted to cut between just Dave and John talking. And so they'd be getting into their conversation, and then we'd cut to a wide shot because Rishma just was giving great reactions throughout when we were filming this scene.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Fuck yes! Did you?
No.
Yeah, like this. There we go.
Dude, what have we been practicing this entire time?
I don't understand. She's not like anybody else I've ever met.
You're not into that. Well, I will get you later.
Yeah, and she also liked to just go with the flow for every take, so there's some slight continuity errors throughout this because of that, but like it helped that she just give better performances, so I was fine with that. Plus, I don't think it's too noticeable.
I'm okay.
Oh, please, come on. It'll be so much fun. I promise you. It'll cheer you up. It'll cheer you up.
Listen, I know you care in your way. All right, but this isn't what I want. You're not listening.
Yeah, and coming out was probably one of my favorite cuts. I'm going to point it out.
We'll have so much fun.
No, you're not. Get out. I'm serious. John, go.
So 3, 2, 1, cut. So what I did was cut from like a cropped version to a wider version. It's literally the same shot. I just had cropped it, and then I cut when Ashish bashed in front of the camera. Also, Ashish saying "ow" when he gets hit by the shoe. That's something I added like the week that we finalized this show, because I was editing and we were doing sound design at the time, and I was like, this scene really needs Ashish saying "ow," and so I asked him to send in a recording on his phone, and so that's what we used.
I mean, I'm gonna come back to get all my stuff, but
Yeah, and so then the clip that plays from Jenny's Cinema after this, it is later in the show than earlier. I guess it could justify that Dave just had it on mute, but I think it thematically fits the moment. I also had to remove, there was a soundtrack over Jenny's Cinema that I had to go back into the Jenny Cinema files and like take that part out. Yeah, and this was actually one of the first things that we shot. Yeah, we shot this on the first day. And so that's why Jasper is going to have a little bit different haircut than in the next scene. Also, the sun went behind a building as we were shooting this. So in the wide shot, you could see the window, but in these other shots, you cannot see the window. And that's because we used an LED light instead. And I think it matches pretty well. Like, you can't tell at all. Yeah, see, we framed the window out here. Yeah, and in the background here is my old apartment. So that's where I did some of the writing for To Die For. Some of the stuff that happened there inspired some of the show, and I just yeah, some of the hits are in a park right next to that as well, where I would go on walks and think about To Die For. So yeah, got to shoot in the places that inspired it. Yeah, so we actually went to the airport, got some B-roll footage there, and then this scene was shot at one of the engineering buildings, which, if you don't know, I was an engineering student. So yeah, and there was actually an event going on at the time, like some poker night or something, and so they were being really loud. We couldn't get any audio because we didn't have lavs, and we definitely couldn't fit a boom pole here. So yeah, all of the audio you hear in this scene was replaced in post. And I really love what John did with the score in this scene. Like, he initially scored it differently, and then I forget it was mine or Kaylee's idea to like have it just be like a nicer, I guess, version of like the opening theme, like the title theme, and I think it just came together really well. Yeah, so thank you to everyone who worked on this. Like, so many people worked on this. Like, just throughout as I was making it, I couldn't believe at each step that other people believed in this project as well and wanted to make it with me. Like, it was so crazy of just bringing the script to CSTV. I had a bunch of people sign up for me initially. Some people dropped out, but like other people came back in. Because I made this by myself. I made the pilot by myself. I was insulated. Like, quarantine happened. Like, I originally wrote this in 2020, and like just being alone through that, like, that was a crazy experience. Like, I think I explore loneliness in the show a lot, of like Dave is alone a lot in this, and like literally making the show helped so much with me becoming more social and getting to know other people. Like, I went through my own character arc making the show, I guess. Yeah, I really appreciate the people that I met who got to work on the show, and that they were just so excited about it as well. Like, it was so cool seeing the other connections that people made with each other while making this show. And I think I have some connections now that should hopefully last a while. And yeah, thank you if you're listening to this director's commentary. I'm not sure how many people listen to this stuff, but hey, if you made it this far, congrats. Oh yeah, so Warped, that's a song that Avery added for when Dave gets roofied at the bar. I didn't know that Avery was a musician, and she was just our sound designer. And so she sends us the sound design, and she's like, by the way, I added a song. You can keep it if you want to. It's fine if you don't. And I'm like, what? Like, I was just confused by that. And I listened, and it's great, and we included it. Yeah. And this is my long list of special thanks. There are so many people I wanted to thank in this, and yeah. There we go. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.